It's the age-old question. What is the contract and what are your clients required, or what is recommended for them to actually sign off on? Is it just the boilerplate terms and services like the limited liability, all that kind of stuff? Or do they need to actually initial and sign and agree to whatever the proposal or specific service description for that event? What are the best practices? What are the requirements? Today's video, we're going to talk about just that. Stick around. Welcome back to Wedding Industry Law. My name is Rob. I am a wedding industry lawyer. In today's video, we're going to make heads or tails of whether or not it's a good idea to have your contract include all the different types of categories of documents and whether or not the client needs to sign off on these things individually or as one, or how do we do this? So let's kind of lay out what exactly it is that I'm talking about. So when we say contract, typically that just means the exchange of promises between two different parties. In this instance, the wedding professional is promising to do some type of service. The client is agreeing to pay you the big dollars for that service. And the document that memorializes that can consist of a few different categories of things, okay? So the first category would be what I'm going to refer to in this video as the terms of service. So, you know, the boilerplate stuff, limited liability, indemnification, typically the legal things that are not going to change from event to event. Terms of service, fine. Then there are a couple of other categories. And those categories are either the package or the proposal. Like you got the gold platinum package, and that includes X, Y, Z, 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 1, 2, 3, ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. Okay. So things that are specific to the event and that level of service that you are going to provide, the package or the proposal. Sometimes there's the category of documents, which is just a generalized description of the services, XYZ, 1, 2, 3 in a bullet pointed fashion. The things, again, more things that are going to be different depending on what the event is. It's going to be different from client to client. So you've got 2 or 3 different types of information that's going to go into that contract. A lot of times in some industries, for example, DJs, that all goes onto one piece of paper, or often can go on 1 or 2 pieces of paper, because the description of services or the package isn't crazy big. So you'll see it on one and they just sign off on it and it's all good. What I get a lot of questions about are when the package, the diamond package, the gold package, or the description of services is super large or whatever. Does that actually need to be incorporated into the document that's the terms of service and the client signs off on everything? So the short answer is it's going to depend. The problem with having 2 or 3 or 4 different documents that the client gets, but they only sign one, is that there could be some type of confusion about what the client has actually agreed to. Okay, so if the client is only signing the document that for the most part has what we're calling the terms of service, then there could be some issue down the road on whether or not they have agreed to all the things that might be in that proposal, that package, or the itemized description of services. So how do we kind of get around that potential problem of confusion? How do we get around that potential problem of the client feigning like they didn't know what they were going to get, or they didn't understand what the gold package was? There are typically 2 ways to handle this situation. Actually, I'll back up. There's a lot of ways you can handle the situation, but best practices, and definitely what I see the most of, are one of two things. The first option is to go the way of the example of the DJ, which is you have the package or the proposal or the itemized description of services together with the terms of service on one document that is acknowledged by the client through their signature at the same time. So whenever somebody is confused about what they're getting, all you got to do is go to one document that they have signed that has all that information, the things that don't change from event to event, as well as the things that are specific to that client's specific event. So incorporating all of that information, all those categories of documents into one, or categories of information into one document, is oftentimes going to be the best way to defeat any type of confusion, any type of conflict there is with what the client is actually going to get. The second thing that you can do, if in fact it's too unwieldy for you with the way you've designed the look of your package, and that's perfectly okay. Some people's packages, it's like a 15-page thing, it's interactive, there are explosions, there's kung fu in it, whatever. But in that situation in which the wedding professional has an intricate proposal that might be multiple pages, that might be interactive or whatever, and then there's the terms of service that the client actually signs, okay, in order to circumvent the problem of confusion, circumvent conflict about what they're getting, what you can do is in your terms of service, you essentially incorporate by reference the proposal. So for those that don't want to have their proposal as part of that contract, or part of the terms of service in one document, then the terms of service that the client actually ends up signing, okay, can incorporate by reference, meaning this document, contains terms of services, but also the client is agreeing to the obligations, or is agreeing to the services that are set forth in whatever document, the proposal or whatever, and then you can describe like, okay, they're being handed to you contemporaneously, or maybe if you're doing e-signing, it's, you've check marked that box that you're agreeing to this particular package or whatever it is. You're acknowledging in the actual document, the terms of service that the client is signing, that there is in fact another document that they should be obligated to look at, and they are acknowledging that they understand it and that they're agreeing to it. So on one hand, you've got, in terms of what I see the most of, and perhaps best practices, is incorporating all that into one document that is signed at one time. The other is to, whatever the terms of service that they're actually agreeing to, it incorporates by reference, meaning that it references that other document such that the client cannot say, we had no idea there was some other document, and that other document is also integral to the obligations of what they're actually signing. But like I said, there are a million ways that you can contract with another party. Okay, you can just have the proposal that they sign. Technically you can do that as well. There are a lot of things that you can do, but they all have their pros and cons. And so that's why I'm telling you that at the end of the day, the two methods that I've described are the two most common ways to do it, because for the most part, you get the most bang for your buck with the least amount of problems. So should your event proposal or service description go in the contract? Again, that just depends on your proposal, your package, your terms of service, the aesthetics of what everything looks like. When you're doing the actual negotiating and signing of the contract, who's signing the contract, how the contract is signed, all these things that answer will depend on those things. But for the most part, in terms of that document, those are the two ways that you can do it. I hope that you have found this video not confusing and in fact informative. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. If you're watching this on YouTube, which I hope that you are, be sure to hit the notification bell. Leave a comment down below. How do you present your contract, your terms of service, your package, your proposal, your description of services to your client? Have you ever had any problems with that? Let's get a conversation going. New videos every Monday. And just as a quick plug, Every Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time, I host on Clubhouse, Wedding Industry Law Hour, Ask a Wedding Lawyer. It's essentially an hour long. Well, sometimes it's an hour long, depending on how many questions we got going on. But it's a question and answer time for wedding professionals. And a lot of the content actually that I've been getting for this video series is coming from that Clubhouse conversation. So get in on that conversation every Thursday on Clubhouse. I'm at Wedding Lawyer. Be sure to follow me there. And with that, folks, we'll see you next time.